Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome here to the launch pad and our second of 4 launches happening today. ULA is preparing to launch the first set of Project Kuiper prototypes. Let's listen into Mission Control.
Afternoon, I'm Amanda Sterling, ULA's Kuiper Program Management Leader, and your host for today's Project Kuiper Protoflight launch. I'm joining you from ULA's Good afternoon. I'm Amanda Sterling, ULA's Kuiper Program Management Leader, and your host for today's Project Kuiper Protoflight launch. I'm joining you from ULA's Advanced Spaceflight Operations Center at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. We're targeting a 2:06 p.m. Eastern liftoff. We have a 2-hour launch window today. In addition to watching our webcast, you can also follow live mission progress at ulalaunch.com. In just a few moments, the count will enter a 21-minute planned hold. We have 2 planned holds in our 7-hour launch count, which give our team additional time to resolve any issues prior to entering the terminal count. At this time, the team is not working any issues and we're proceeding towards an on-time liftoff. Today's live coverage will continue through first stage separation. The launch window moved 6 minutes into the window due to a COLA. COLAs are brief moments in time when the launch is not allowed to occur because the trajectory would pass too close to another object already in space. This analysis is based on a screening of known active and debris objects in orbit that could cause a conjunction with the ascending Atlas V rocket. Before we continue, let's check on today's weather. Space Launch Delta 45 weather officer Melody Levin recently provided the forecast. Let's take a look at the numbers. The probability of violating launch constraints is 15%. Ground winds are 10 to 15 knots out of the north, and the temperature is 81 degrees Fahrenheit. The primary concerns for launch are the thick cloud layers rule and the cumulus cloud rule. So the weather is looking good for a launch attempt this afternoon. Our ULA team is excited for this mission as it marks the first in the partnership between ULA and Amazon. The protoflight mission includes KuiperSat-1 and KuiperSat-2, which are prototype satellites for Amazon's Project Kuiper, a low Earth orbit satellite network that will provide fast, affordable broadband to unserved and underserved communities around the world. These satellites include much of the technology and subsystems that power the production version of Amazon's satellite design, including phased array and parabolic antennas, power and propulsion systems, and custom design modems. This mission will add real-world data from space to results from Amazon's extensive lab testing, fieldwork, and simulation, and help Amazon finalize design, deployment, and operational plans ahead of a full-scale deployment beginning in 2024. ULA's Atlas V 501 rocket will take the protoflight mission to orbit. This is the 99th Atlas V launch and ULA's 158th mission. Let's learn more about the rocket.
Built in ULA's production.
And if you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. We are at L-minus 21 minutes, 20 seconds and counting. I've been listening into the mission control nets, and I'm waiting to hear more. I believe I just heard someone ask to call the anomaly team for a meeting, but we'll wait to hear for sure on that. We've been listening in. They've been working a bunch of different things. Different sensors needing to be just confirmed and stuff. Normal stuff that we hear on a mission control net, but we're waiting to hear more from them through that. But if you're just joining us, welcome here to the Launchpad here at TLP. It's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, because we believe that space is better together. And you're joining us for only the second Atlas V launch of this year, but super exciting payload today. The first two prototypes of Project Kuiper, Amazon's version of Starlink. The constellation that's planned for Kuiper is 3,276 satellites that will be placed into 98 different orbital planes in 3 orbital layers, positioned at 590 kilometers, 610 kilometers, and 630 kilometers. Obviously, it's going to take a few years to launch these. These will be launching on board Atlas V's as well as Vulcans. But a great shot here on the camera of the rollout that happened just yesterday. One of our rocket chasers was on site, and you can see those photos over on our X, and will be soon on the store as well. But on this shot, this is really the last time we're going to see an Atlas V that looks kind of naked. It has no SRBs on it. It has a 5-meter fairing, and it is now just the regular Atlas V. It does not have any of those SRBs strapped on, and almost all the remaining ones will have 5 SRBs, as we have 17 Atlas V missions left. About, I believe, 5 of those are reserved for Starliner, and then we have most of the rest of them are for Project Kuiper until the new ULA Vulcan comes online, as well as New Glenn. But we are counting down now, L-19 minutes, 17 seconds, and counting. We are in a pre-planned hold at this time. This hold will continue until the 4-minute mark, where teams will give a go, no-go to enter into the terminal count. The weather is remaining favorable at this time, and all 3 cryogenic tanks are being topped off to flight level and pressurized. About 5 minutes ago, they said that they are not working anything, but are not working any technical issues, but will be continuing through today's flight. They are looking at a live kind of play out of what we expect to happen during today's mission. What's really interesting, and you'll see it here, we see payload fairing jettison, but we do not see the payload. Amazon has been treating this mission more secretive than a National Reconnaissance Office mission, where we don't know what these satellites look like. They are still very secretive to them, so we're not sure if we will see payload deployment here today. Highly not expecting to at this point, just based on the secrecy that they have had. If it's your first time here, take a moment, engage that subscribe button so you never miss another live launch coverage. Make sure you subscribe to our second channel, the Launchpad News. That's where we bring you full TLP News space updates, as well as over on tlpnetwork.com. If you're interested in joining the TLP crew, you can sign up today. We are looking to invite some new people to join on as rocket chasers, moderators, journalists, and researchers. Some of those applications are now open to join our volunteer team. Amazing way to dive deeper into the space community and help inspire the next generation as we enter this new era of space exploration. You're looking now back at a live view of Slick 41 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, where we are now just under 17 and a half minutes and counting till launch. We are 12 minutes away from the launch window opening for today. I believe we have a 2-hour launch window, so we do have time that they could delay if they need to. We did see a delay announced about 30 minutes ago, where they just did a quick 6-minute delay, nothing too long, as they are working those final checkouts in preparation for today's flight. If you guys have questions or comments, definitely take a moment and let us know in the chat. You can tag us at the Launchpad. If you haven't yet, take a moment, engage that like button as well. Share out the stream, invite people to join us. It's a big day for Amazon and the second major U.S. internet constellation getting its first 2 prototype satellites. Today's mission is also being called Protoflight. We're continuing to listen into the mission control nets. They provide those to media. Unfortunately, we have been informed we're not allowed to broadcast these, but we are listening in. So we are hearing updates through the mission control net. It sounds like they're having I don't want to say an issue, but they're seeing some voltages on the rocket that are not exactly what they're wanting, so they're swapping some stuff out, adjusting some voltages in preparation for today's flight. So if I do mute out, it's because I'm listening into the mission control net, which sadly we're not allowed to broadcast, but we have been listening into those, and we do appreciate ULA providing those to the media for us to be able to bring you that best possible coverage as we continue to count down towards launch. L-minus 15 minutes, 20 seconds, and counting. Mark, what is the cost of one of these launches compared to a Falcon 9? That is a great question. Let me confirm that. Because Falcon 9 has come down. And this is old data that we have. We don't normally get a lot of pricing updates. But Atlas V starts at $109 million and goes up to $153 million in 2016, depending on what is required. The biggest thing to remember is, though we're seeing Atlas V launch here today, this mission was registered years ago. Just like we've seen Vulcan missions and New Glenn missions confirmed last year. This is something that we're, not really seeing. We're not seeing anything new. This rocket is technically retired, but we are still seeing these flights occur. So it's definitely not a cheap rocket, but they start up to $100 million. When Atlas first started, they were all the way up to $225 million at times. So they've come down in cost as Atlas has been refined over the years of its more than 15 years of service, with a 100% mission success rate as well. And we just had confirmation on the control net. They're continuing not to work any issues at this time, as we are L-minus 13 minutes, 40 seconds and counting. Still in that planned T-minus 4 minute hold. Just like back during the shuttle, Atlas V is one of these rockets that we do see built-in holds. I know one of the questions we normally get asked, T-minus, L-minus, why do we have two different clocks? T-minus is the operational clock. So different things have to be done by different periods in the count. So the T-minus clock can stop. We saw this with SLS. We see this with Shuttle and Atlas V. There could be a hold at 15 minutes, hold at 4 minutes, and these are planned. And the reason is you can get to T-minus 4 minutes and you could hold there for an hour. Shuttle would actually have multi-hour long holds late into the count, technically, while they finalize checkouts. L- is your real-world time. So that clock in the top right corner of your screen, that is how long real-world time you have to run and grab a drink or get a snack. 12 minutes, 45 seconds and counting until the current set T0. So that is what we are continuing, and we try to always use L- here at the launch pad because that's that real-world time that you can know if you've got time to run and do something or not. While we continue to monitor the mission control nets, we will update that as we get updated timing should we have anything change here. But right now, as we are still now coming up to just under 12 and a half minutes, launch control is continuing to progress towards flight. Today marks the 681st Atlas launch since 1957, and it is the 99th Atlas V flight from United Launch Alliance. The vehicle system engineer team in Denver technical team, in Denver with the vehicle system engineers are polling various hardware and technologies to confirm they are go for flight. The results of this poll will be routed to the ULA Launch Director of the ULA Director of Engineering, who will then supply that data to the Launch Director as we get ready to go into terminal count for today's flight. This is the ULA's 158th launch and the 20th launch to service a commercial client. Today does begin a new era for ULA as they begin to fill the 9 Atlas V and 38 Vulcan Centaur missions planned for Project Kuiper. So if you're tired of Starlinks, we got a new constellation for you, and we're excited to see this. So we have 9 Atlas V of the remaining 17 that will be launching Project Kuiper, and then we have 38 Vulcan Centaurs. Vulcan Centaur we were hoping to see fly by the end of the year. We still got our fingers crossed, but might slip to next year. We'll have to wait and see. But once Vulcan gets fully operational, they have said they would love to see Vulcan launching once every 2-ish weeks. So it's going to become an easier, even busier time on the Space Coast. But you still got a couple years left that you can head on down and catch a launch of an Atlas V. I know I've been still planning to do the same. And next year we also have the final Delta IV Heavy from ULA. If you're just joining us, though, welcome. Take a moment, let us know in the chat where you're watching from. We're glad to have you here. This is the second of 4 launches happening today. We are continuing to count down to the other 2 launches. The next 2 are outside of the United States. First, we'll be heading over to Spain to see the test flight of the Miria 1 rocket from PLD Space. That rocket will be set to have its test flight after a multi-month delay in 6 hours from now. And then just a short time after that, we're heading back down to the French Guiana in Kourou for the return of the Vega rocket following its last flight anomaly. It'll be launching Theos 2, Triton, and others from Ariane Launch Area 1 from Ariane Space in the French Guiana. And we will be bringing you full live coverage of those as well. That launch is set to occur 7 hours, 39 minutes from now. But it is a busy launch day, and it's spooling up to be a pretty decent calendar for October as well. It's turning into a Launchtober, not the other word that we're not going to say because we're off to a good start already. But we've got, of course, at least 4 more Starlinks. We have the launch of Psyche on a SpaceX Falcon Heavy. We maybe have SpaceX Starship. We'll see. Probably not, but we might. We have a couple Falcon 9 commercial missions. We also have the return of Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket targeting this month. And then we have 2 launches out of India as well, launching on the PSLV, I believe. I believe is both of them. I'd have to double check. But we do have 2 India launches as well. So lots of launches. And someone made a comment earlier in the chat, what's really interesting. We have 4 launches today, and not one of them is SpaceX. Really interesting to see. Normally you'd think, 2 SpaceX in a day, but no, we got 4, and they're not SpaceX, and they're all different rockets in 3 different countries, 4 different launch facilities. So it is a great space launch day. Saw a couple people mentioning, isn't it odd that Amazon's not launching their satellites on their own vehicle? New Glen's not ready yet, but they will if they need to. Jessica, it is your birthday and 4 launches. Well, happy birthday, Jessica. Definitely everyone wish happy birthday to Jessica in the chat. Great to see you. Thank you for your continued support. You're always here, and we love that you were part of this community. So thank you, and happy birthday. Ginger maybe coined a new label, Launchtober. Well, we'll have to release some Launchtober merch then. So stay tuned for that. We'll try to get some stuff out over the weekend here. We also are finalizing our holiday collection, so make sure you stay tuned for that coming out in the next couple of weeks. Super excited. Let's listen into the control nets for the go no go poll.
We'll poll the launch team for the final go to pick up the count. 29 engineers and managers are polled for system status and readiness to proceed. This is the final status check for all Atlas vehicle systems, ground systems, spacecraft, and the U.S. Space Force Eastern Range. The vehicle system readiness poll includes electrical systems, hydraulics, pneumatics, propulsion systems, flight control, and propellants. Let's listen in as Scott Barney performs the final polling.
Minus 7 minutes. Status check to proceed with terminal count. Atlas systems, propulsion. Go. Hydraulics. Go. Pneumatics. Go. LO2.
Go.
Water.
Go.
Centaur systems, propulsion. Go. Pneumatics. Go. LO2. Go. LH2.
Go.
HASGAS. Go. Electrical systems airborne.
Go.
Ground. Go. Facility. Go. RFFTS. Go. Flight control. Go. GCQ. Go. OpSport. Go. Com. Go. Umbilicals.
Go.
ECS. Go. Red line monitor. Go. Quality.
Go.
Ops safety manager. Go. ULA safety ops. Go. Vehicle system engineer. Go. Anomaly chief. Go. Range coordinator.
Clear to proceed.
Launch director.
You have permission to launch.
Proceeding with the count. ALC, verify T0 is set for 1806.
Verified.
All steps are complete prior to terminal count.
Polling is complete and the launch team is go for launch. From T-minus 4 minutes until liftoff, you'll hear Scott Barney and the launch team performing the final steps in the countdown procedure. Several critical activities occur in the final minutes before launch, including verifying fuel tank levels and pressures in the booster and Centaur, and arming the flight termination system. At T-minus 25 seconds, you'll hear Go Atlas, Go Centaur, Go Kuiper. This is the final status check of rocket and payload readiness. At T-minus 3 seconds, the main engine ignites. Then, after seeing Atlas V lift off the launch pad, you'll begin hearing flight commentator Rob Gannon providing launch vehicle ascent data.
And if you're just joining us, we are listening into the mission control comms on the broadcast. 4 minutes, 20 seconds till launch. We're working to sync our clocks as they get ready to pick up the count. They've been a planned hold at T-minus 4 minutes. L-minus 4 minutes, 10 seconds, waiting for that countdown to click and key back up. Let's listen into mission control.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. We anticipate releasing the hold in just a few moments.
And there is a delay on the broadcast, but we have had confirmation. Mark. T-minus 4 minutes and counting. Syncing our clocks.
355. Ground pyros enabled.
The countdown clock has resumed and we are go for launch at 2:06 p.m. Eastern. With liftoff approaching, we're going to raise the volume on our launch team so you can hear the final preps taking place.
330. Atlas hydraulics at flight pressure.
L-minus 3 minutes, 20 seconds and counting until launch. All flight systems are go for the rocket, the range, the payload, the vehicle, and the facilities as we continue through that final bit of the count. As always here at the launch pad, we do that final go, no go in the chat. Take a moment, hit the like button, and then if you're a member, you can use that go. Otherwise, type go in the chat. So we always do that here. 3 minutes and counting until launch of the first payload of the Project Kuiper constellation on board the final Atlas V 501 configuration rocket.
Internal.
Heard there, the flight termination system has gone internal. L-minus 2 minutes, 35 seconds and counting until launch. A great view down at the engine bay there of those Russian engines that Atlas V uses. Coming down to T-minus 2 minutes in the count, doing that final go, no go check in our chat. They are preparing for flight. Everything trending green, now under 2 minutes and counting. Atlas V has now gone internal, and the launch sequence has been initiated.
Securing Centaur LO2.
140.
Launch enabled.
137.
FCS armed.
T-minus 90 seconds. The launch vehicle, payload, ground systems, and Eastern Range are go for launch. For those of you that just joined us, I'm Amanda Sterling, and I'm your host for today's live coverage.
Show
of
the rocket!
Atlas V Project Kuiper
Show the
prototype launch.
rocket!
The team is not working any issues at this time, and we're on track for liftoff at 2:06 p.m. Eastern.
Thank you. T-minus 60 seconds and counting until launch.
1 minute. Rock, report range status.
Range green.
Forty seconds. Stable at step 3.
28. Verify ECS reduced for launch.
Verified.
25. Status check.
Go Atlas. Go Centaur.
Go Kuiper.
T-minus
Done.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition and liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket, carrying the proto-flight mission for Amazon's Project Kuiper.
Weights look good. It is maneuver as expected. Operating normal. One minute in, everything looking good.
You're
It's
hearing the
operating
voice
normal.
of Rob Gannon providing launch vehicle
Vehicle's
ascent
now
data.
4 miles in altitude, 0.3 miles downrange. Traveling at 1,250 miles per hour. Everything looking good. Mach 1. Vehicle's now supersonic. Max Q. That's it to max in and pressure. Coming up on our first throttle segment. And first throttle segment's been engaged. Everything's looking good. What we're looking for is my closed loop duck guides. Operating normal. Closed loop guidance is in. Everything looking good. Coming up on our next throttle phase, we'll be limiting the vehicle acceleration to 2.5 Gs for payload bearing jets. Holding acceleration at 2.5 Gs, everything looking good. Inside of 2 minutes to BECO. Everything looking good. Engine operating as expected. Smooth body rates. And vehicles pass through the Kármán line. We have exited the Earth's atmosphere. Coming up on fairing jet, we've had fairing jettison and CLFR deck jettison. Everything looks good, nice and smooth. We are throttling up inside of 1 minute to Pico. And we are less than a quarter of our liftoff weight at this time. And starting our 4G throttling, our G limiting phase of the mission. 30 seconds to Pico. And boost phase chill has been in progress. Engine temperatures are reducing as expected. Coming up on Pico, and we have cutoff. Everything looks good. Yeah, we had pre-start on fuel and locks. We had good staging, ignition, and full thrust. The Arlton is up and running normally. Seeing good steady state operating parameters. We've gone to fixed angles on the PU system. Seeing the expected response and operating parameters on the engine, making the lock control system. Temperatures are converging about bottle temp as expected. And we are now in the middle of a 10-minute, 12-second nominal burn of Centaur. We'll have a single burn to spacecraft separation.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T plus 5 minutes, 45 seconds. We just heard flight commentator Rob Gannon confirm the successful completion of the early phase of today's flight, and all systems continue to operate nominally. At this time, we'll end our live coverage.
So it looks like the customer, Amazon, has asked them to end coverage prior to separation. Just like we haven't seen them show what the satellites look like in an animation. But you can follow ULA on their social media for confirmation, or join us over on our TLP Discord or our X. But that they're going to show a replay here. But if you're just joining us, Project Kuiper has launched. ULA is carrying the first prototypes to orbit 6 minutes, 20 seconds into flight. They now have a 10-minute burn and they are about 12 minutes away from prototype satellite separation. That's going to do it for us here today. This is our second of 4 launches happening today. We hope you will join us for the rest of them today. We are now counting down just a few hours away from PLD Space in Spain launching their test rocket, Mira 1, for its first ever test flight after a multi-month delay. And then later we have the return of Vega launching with Arianespace out of the French Guiana in Kourou. We hope you'll join us for both of those. If you're interested in space and want to join the TLP crew, head over to tlpnetwork.com. We'd love to invite some of you to join our TLP crew as volunteers on our TLP news team, as journalists, our data team for researchers, as we continue to build the best possible complete database of all of space history. That's going to do it for us here from our TLP Canada studio. That's 2 out of 4 down, and we'll see you in a few hours for the next launch. But from TLP Canada studio, my name's Zach, and we'll see you next time, because space is better together. See you soon.